Today is Tuesday, January 17th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Shalau of Is Was Brewing. One of the slickest fades in a long while.
I wonder why.
He's back, baby.
Yeah. If you don't think people could tell,
Yeah.
just from the fade in. Sadly, that's true.
Yeah, it is true. I'm here with producer Serge, fading in and out beautifully, and your other co-host, Chris Quinn of the Beer Temple. Chris, how are you doing?
Good. Hearing all about what Serge has been up to, and off the coast of St. Bart's, tripping with spider monkeys, changing his whole perspective.
They changed his whole perspective.
You know?
Mescaline.
Yeah. I'm having a good old time. We're starting construction on our. Well, we talked about. No, we didn't talk about last time because we were in the future. You and I weren't here.
Yeah,
we took the week off. It was nice.
Let the
we all took the week off. Yeah,
it's relaxing.
So yeah, we're starting construction on a kitchen here. So that's got my time and my mental energy all. Just not a big deal. Not taking up any time.
And you've been
not worrying about it.
Highly encouraged by your fellow Chicago publicans to put the kitchen in, right? I think it's going to be very easy. And
last Tuesday there was a very well-known publican here.
Even though we took the day off.
Yeah, but I was still here.
Yeah.
And he said, it's construction. What are you doing? Adding a kitchen. And were you there at the time when he said that?
You told me immediately after.
Yeah, he just did the mime of putting a gun underneath his jaw and blowing his head off upwards, not even through the side, like the straight upwards, just totally blowing his own face off.
Yeah,
was his only reaction to it. And I was like, great. That's pretty much standard reaction. Somebody literally today also just told me that it was like going to be hell. And I was like. Awesome.
And yet, he persisted.
I know.
It's about like everything you do here. You're like, this is gonna suck, but you do it anyway.
It's true. You know more than most that is the truth. I was like that with the tap room.
Yeah,
with adding a bar. I was like that. In joyous news. The Beer Temple crew has won the Chicago Beer Industry Curling Tournament, so we are champions.
Not really a sport, though.
Well, I mean, some would say.
If that's in the Olympics, why don't we just put mopping in the Olympics?
Right. That was interesting. That we posted that we had won. We posted it at like 11 at night.
Yeah.
With like a picture of us, like, "Hey, congrats!"
And this is like a backyard curling where you don't even brush, right? You're not brushing. You just slide the stones.
It's probably like a third or a quarter of the length, if less. Right. It might be a fifth of the length.
And do you have to have a beer in your hand while you're doing it, or?
I mean, we know how to play softball.
Yeah.
So it's And one comment was like, I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
Curling is not a sport. And I was like, are you in the wrong thread, dude?
Stephen A. Smith from the top rope is having a sports take that no one needs.
It's like totally irrelevant. So we were having a good time, and we'd had several beers in our hands throughout the night. So we decided to go full on troll mode.
I loved, yeah. So it's you posted on Beer Temple, and then
Yes.
individually from your
logged
personal
out
accounts,
and logged back into my personal account.
Not just you, Max was
Yeah.
in there cutting it up.
And we were, I forget what I said, something like, as somebody trying to be an outsider, being like, in all honesty, it really is a sport, and the people who participate in it are athletes.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. We
Kaiser Tiger, right? Did you say
Kaiser
that?
Tiger, yep. Saw Pat Berger, friend of the show
I
there.
was there today dropping off some beer.
Yeah, and so listen to this: 2 milds and an ESB were on at Kaiser Tiger yesterday.
He knew you were coming.
He must have known.
Yeah.
So
If I were him, I would.
my trends
just
from
miles.
last year, or Chris Quinobi's last year trends,
Yeah.
dead on.
Yeah. Nailing it.
Kaiser Tiger, 2 milds and an ESB on. Are you kidding me?
Remember, it wasn't that long
Nitro
ago that there
ESB.
weren't even 2 milds you could buy.
Yeah, I know. 2 milds.
Or who's making milds?
Art History and Old Irving.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And then a Fair State Nitro ESB. Tell me I am not predicting someone is not predicting the future. It is me. I'm just going to come out and say it. It is me, but I have to enter. It's a long, arduous journey to allow Obi Chris Quinobi to speak through me. So I'm kind of like a medium.
Yeah. There's channeling, there's mantras.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry for
It's
all
like,
the throat clearing. I apologize.
It's like method acting, but even
Except
more
not
in-depth.
acting.
Yeah, even more in
Except
depth.
not at all acting.
Yeah.
So it's a big long thing. I have to sit there and just allow the spirit to take me over. And it's just, if you see it, it's very disturbing.
It's really
to
just,
watch.
it's like going to a Pentecostal church, but for milds.
Yeah, I would say that's exactly what
Starts
it's like.
Speaking in tongues, meaning like he sounds like a 65-year-old British man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Talk about
Exactly.
how the cask has gone
Yeah.
off.
Every time I say something, it ends with a question. So I'm like, this beer's gone off, hasn't it?
Yeah. And then,
we're doing a podcast, aren't we?
isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah. And then it takes about 45 minutes for us to figure out that he's not just going to ask questions the whole time. And then he
Yeah.
loses the English accent. Teeth stay, though.
Teeth stay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I was nailing this one. And so since the episode has gone out, I've seen Bavarian-style IPA. Maplewood put out a Bavarian-style IPA.
I saw that. What does that mean?
Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, Bavarian Dark Lager is there for the taking. It's there. Dunkel is the next big thing in lagers.
But it's going to be called Bavarian Dark Lager. And it's really just going to be a bunch of
It's gonna be a
Cinnamar
Dunkel.
Pilsners.
It's gonna be a Dunkel.
Sure, it will be.
I hope
Yeah.
it'll be a triple decocted Dunkel.
We'll get Tom Goldfinger on. He'll run us through. He's having a dark lager day, actually, I think.
Yeah.
On
We're doing it here
February 11th.
again. We did it last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So,
Have you had any beers recently that you enjoyed?
ooh, good question.
Look at that hosting, huh?
I mean, it deserves. Oh, can I be this lame? I mean, I definitely can be. Should I be this lame? I mean, I stopped at Fatheads on the way down. Stopped on Fatheads on the way back. This was the second stop. Was, to be fair, a mere 12 days ago. But I've been drinking a lot of Fathead. It was really good. I'm really enjoying this off black from Hopewell. It's one of my favorite beers they make.
The cold IPA.
No, it's
I'm
it's
kidding.
a Lupolo.
Sorry, Jake. Yeah,
it's a Lupolo Black Pills.
A BPL. Black Pale Lager.
Yeah, exactly. A black pale lager.
Yeah, like a black IPA.
It's really good. It's one of my favorite beers that they do.
Yeah, it's delicious.
So we're not done talking about my predictions because there's others.
Sorry.
But is there a beer that you've had lately that you've liked?
Honestly, I've had a couple different iterations of Guinness, and all of them have been
Iterations
both of them
of
are
Guinness?
fantastic. Yeah, I went to this relatively new restaurant from the people that did Fountainhead. They opened this like new kind of British pub style.
Oh, yes,
Place
yes.
on, like, Rockwell.
On Rockwell, you've been. Okay,
Yeah.
Is it called the Red Line? No.
No, it was the Red
It
Line.
was
Now
the Red
it's
Line.
Green something, Green Door,
Tiger.
Green Post, maybe.
Green Tiger.
Yeah, they
Red
kept
Lion,
they kept
Green
the feline
Tiger.
theme. Yeah, they just had to. They moved it one. They spun a wheel
Yes.
with different large cats
Yes.
and different primary or secondary colors, I guess.
Green Tiger could easily be a British pub.
I think it's Green Post Tavern or something like that.
Okay.
Like fish and chips and
Yeah.
that type of thing.
How is it?
It's cool. It's great.
Cool.
They have like a really interesting. I don't. This sounds silly, but an interesting gin and tonic like program, which is like.
Okay.
And they
Makes sense.
And the
Tracks.
service is cool. They bring you the gin and in the ice in one glass, and they bring you like these different tonics in the separate bottle, and you just kind of do it yourself.
Cool.
Which sounds kind of like cheating, but it was cool. But I had a
Cheating for them because they don't actually have to mix
it's
your drink.
lazy.
Yeah.
I had what I'm assuming it was a super fresh or just very well handled regular Guinness there, like depth to it that isn't normally there. Like there was an interesting like bitterness. There was like that like, fruitiness to it that it was great. And then I've been drinking the 0% Guinness, like the NA Guinness, which actually rocks.
I mean, I think I said on here it was the best NA beer that I've had, but I'm still not sure I like it. I don't think I would say it rocks, but maybe.
Well, in that world,
Yes,
you
in that
assume you're gonna have to
world.
lose something, and you do. You lose the alcohol, but you also lose some sort of flavor because of processes or lack of fermentation. But four things in that world, and it's the truest to the original beer
yes,
of any of those
I
things,
agree.
and
The heart of Guinness seems to be in there somewhere.
And so I had a few of those.
Cool.
I really enjoyed
So
that.
there you go.
Yeah.
Versions of Guinness. There
the
you go.
Guinai,
Yeah.
which I think you probably shouldn't say. It sounds like a racial slur for Italians.
Yeah. Are Italians a race?
We probably shouldn't go down this
don't
path.
go that. Okay. All right.
I am a good chunk of me's Italian.
Yeah, you're
so
a lot
I think
of
I can say it.
Like Jewish people and
Anyway.
Jewish jokes. Yeah, you can do it. So, okay. So you had Guinness, and it was really good, and you had it at the Green Post something.
I think it's the Green Post Tavern.
I want to go there.
But it
That's
was
good.
that like drinking it. I had a couple of them there, and it was just drinking so good.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Yeah.
You have it, and you're like, to me, it's like the bourbon of, and in a way, it's like the bourbon of beers, right? Where
Go on.
craft beer was successful because of attention to different types of flavors and more intensity of flavor and better and like fresher things than Budweiser is now capable of putting out, right? And more creativity. But in the world of distilling, it's really, really hard to beat the big bourbon producers
Yeah.
for both the consistency and value of their lower tier stuff and
Yeah.
the elite level single barrels that they can just pull out of their warehouses.
I mean, has
right?
anyone ever had, if they're being true to themselves, and I think this is where you're going, a better dry Irish stout than Guinness?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
I've had plenty, and there's good ones,
Right.
but they're not.
And
And people say, well, Beamish or Murphy's, fine, whatever.
Right.
They're not better. They're not better.
Right.
In my mind. They're fine. They're sweeter.
And those are still pretty big brands.
They're
Like,
big
it's not,
brands.
It's not like, whoever. Like,
Yeah.
It's not like the XYZ brewery down the street's making it a fresher version of Guinness, and you're like, oh, I'm going to have that. When I have that, it's better. But it's just easier for me to get
Right.
Guinness. Like, no, whenever you get Guinness, it's killer. Right. So I just think that it's impossible to beat that.
The story of that beer is so cool. I mean, it's the coolest beer in the world, I think.
It's the best. I think
When you talk about how old it is and how much of that ancient, well, not literally ancient, but that like bygone era It's from an era where we literally don't even know what the beer tasted like anymore. Like when Porter was king.
Right.
Like we don't know what that stuff tasted like. Mike Siegel's come on and talked about it. It's literally of that era, and there's still elements to it.
Right.
And they still like sour it a little bit, tiny bit.
Right.
I mean, they don't know how. I mean, they probably just put lactic acid in it, but who knows?
Whatever they're doing.
They won't say.
Yeah.
And it's singular. Like, what other beer is anywhere near that popular in anything like that style?
Right.
There's nothing even 2 degrees from that.
Nothing even close.
Nothing even close. Like, what's the next biggest beer that's even remotely dark?
Within like 40 SRM.
40 SRM or something with even like a profile. Because, like, if you go 40 SRM, you're going to probably get like a Negro Modelo or something. But that doesn't taste at all
Not
dark.
Not even close, yeah.
Not even close.
I think it also, Guinness has the most breweries in the entire world, like the most number of breweries where they produce
probably because they do all those.
Either that or Heineken.
Yes,
Heineken probably has a lot.
Yeah, I think a lot of them kind of do it at the same. Yeah, they're all those islands and stuff are all doing both of them. No, but it's very, very interesting. I've got a book, like an unauthorized book from a former Guinness brewer that's out of print, and Mike Siegel found an old copy and bought it for I think a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I have it on loan. He lent it to me for 4 months. He said this thing is completely dog-eared, and it has
what an interesting loan.
Right.
4 months.
Well, he's like, well, once you have it back, he's like, I'll give you 2 while. He's like, how about and he I forget what times we picked a month. He's like, all right, how about then? That'll be 4 months, and so give me plenty of time with it to actually sit and read it. So I gotta crack it open and get all the interesting tidbits. Another thing, I don't know how we got on this Guinness thing, is that old-fashioned, that 2-cask pouring system that we've talked about, where they would have the super high-pressure cask and then the very low-pressure cask, where they would blast the foam in, let it settle down, kind of like a slow pour, and then fill it from the bottom.
It's all a gimmick.
Yeah, all a gimmick. I mean, I want to do that service one day. You thought Kolsch service is cool.
Check this out, and it's just spraying beer.
Oh my gosh! I mean,
it's just it
would
Max is just covered in beer head to toe.
We would have no idea how to do it. We'd have no idea how to do it, but it would be super fun.
It would be amazing. Just get Hopewell to get you. I'm sure they make a Irish dry stout, or who else probably makes one of those? Beguile probably makes one.
Yeah, maybe Maplewood, maybe. They do different styles.
Just get them to way over carbonated cask for you, and then way under carbonated cask for you, and you guys can.
We should have Mike Siegel do it. Really, they've got that tiny little system now.
They do. How small is this system?
10 barrels. No, 2 barrels. 2 barrels. Sorry, 2 barrels.
All right.
2 barrels. Sorry.
That's still pretty. That's pretty small.
Yeah. That's pretty small.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's hard to get smaller than that in a production facility.
Have it considered commercial, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Back to predictions.
No offense to anyone who's smaller than 2 barrels.
It's okay. We do commercial systems. Can you get a smaller than a 2-barrel system?
There are commercial breweries that are operating on smaller systems. Afterthoughts is smaller. It's a 1-barrel system.
1-barrel system. Okay.
Making
That's like a
great
psycho
beers.
brew type thing, right?
It's like a Blickman thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
make great beer in anything, Chris.
That's true. Buckets.
Buckets.
Okay.
Probably not buckets.
Yeah, you can. People do. In coolers and buckets and stuff. So there's some
It's true.
good homebrew that's come out of there. Now, can you make it consistently? And probably not. But
just make it wild.
Yeah. I've already nailed my other, the other part of me has already nailed the low ABV British ales. I mean, that's a thing. It's only
codified as a thing.
It's going to continue to be ascendant.
It's this year's cryptocurrency.
Oh my gosh! Basically,
to the moon.
Yeah,
mild to the moon.
Exactly. And then
Diamond hands on mild.
Bavarian style, nailed it again. And now my third prediction, brand extensions.
Is that a prediction or is that a look what everyone's doing? I'm just going to say what's happening.
No. And then after that came out, there was 2 new brand extensions that I've heard about since then. One of them from Spiteful Brewing I heard about. They're doing a brand extension for the Working for the Weekend. So it's going to be like, and don't
Double
quote
IPA,
me.
right?
Yeah, but it's going to be like working for the summer or working for the vacation. I don't know. Like, you know what I'm talking about. They're going to put them out a couple times a year. So they're going to have those. And then they're going to have, there's another brewery that was much bigger that was also, Rogue. Rogue now is Rogue IPA. Dead Guy.
Alive Guy.
Dead Guy. There's Dead Guy IPA now.
I'm shocked that it wasn't 10 years ago there wasn't Dead Guy IPA.
Yes.
Think about that when like the most known craft beer probably in the country at one point, maybe Dead Guy is like a Maibach.
Yeah. And Maibach ale, but still.
Oh, sure. Was it really a Maibach ale?
I'm pretty sure it's an ale.
Hilarious.
Yeah, but they call it a Maibach, yeah.
What was that thing?
Whatever. It is what it is. What is what it is.
Yeah.
I think there might even be another brand extension. I mean, there's definitely the Two Hearted ones, but I think we mentioned that one. But I forget exactly. I wish I could remember, but it's already just coming true, baby. It's great.
How's it feel? You feel powerful?
Not surprising.
Yeah.
Because I knew that it was going to come to be.
Right.
Yeah. I forget what you're. I haven't heard about any closures, so it looks like you're
really
done for.
You haven't
with your prediction in the last week.
Rock bottom.
Didn't that happen last? That happened before last week, didn't it?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
No, what week is it? There definitely have been closures. There's more auctions every day.
If you see anything for restaurant equipment, let me know.
Okay.
So yeah, oh my God, I am the winner, to quote Billy Madison.
Well, so we always crown a winner the week after we do the prediction show.
Yeah, exactly. I do anyway.
You just crown a winner whenever you're winning.
I mean, basically, it's the least biggest loser is usually who we crown.
Right. I mean, there's been years where there wasn't a single thing that was right.
Everything was off. Those are the best predictions are the ones that are 100% either going to happen or not going to happen. Like, one of these breweries will do this, or
sure,
Goose Island is going to put Bourbon County in can. Like
the Stephen A. Smith method.
Yeah, like those are the best ones. Just like very specific, not broad.
So you're saying next year they have to be more specific.
I'm just saying the best ones are specific, because then if you nail it, it's like, boom.
Right.
Yuck.
See if we can bet on those on DraftKings. Get them to sponsor the show.
True.
Prop bets on which brewery is going to go into cans next.
That's good.
Or bottles, just whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Everyone's in cans already.
But not Bourbon County.
Not Bourbon County.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I also predicted single barrel Bourbon County, didn't I? Yes.
Again, did you predict that, or were you there and saw them?
No. Did not. That is no. I saw. I've been.
You saw my prediction, which was like, no, my prediction was Portillo's chocolate cake.
Yeah.
I then made a secondary prediction of like port finished Bourbon County.
Yes. Of like a specialty finish, and
yeah,
that I might have seen. No, can I say that I saw it? I don't know. I guess I just did.
Can I say that I saw it? That was a swear word, Serge.
I think we talked about it after the show last week.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, well.
Sorry, Mike. Never getting that book back now.
I don't think he told me not to say that. Anyway. Yeah, right. Oh, I love that in your mind, when I mess up, the way I react is by not giving him his book back.
Yeah, you avoid him. I think you're just not going to respond to him anymore. He's like, hey, why did you do that? You're like, Who's new phone? Who dis?
I did do that apparently one time.
What? Just didn't respond.
Did something on air that he wished I hadn't done.
What was it?
I forget.
Was
Truly.
it pricing out exactly how much it costs to make a...
No, it wasn't that.
I'm just kidding.
No, it wasn't that.
That got me in trouble.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got a lot of people. I don't know if we got in trouble, but it got me. People very angry at me.
Yeah, well, I almost got fired.
Oh, well, it was worth it.
I didn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. It was worth it.
It was worth it. I should go back and listen to that show again. It was a couple different shows, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, it was a course of it was supposed to be the course of 3 or 4 shows. Then after we record the second one,
we had to you had to go off. Yeah, you couldn't be on the last one.
I wasn't allowed to be on it anymore.
That's right.
And then I got in a lot more trouble because we had already recorded the second one and I didn't realize it wasn't out.
Right. That old thing that
old chestnut that
I take forever to put stuff out. That was great. I mean, that was really cool how we did that. And yeah, I mean,
good for us.
I mean, I do think that, in a way, Goose Island gets the brunt of a lot of that ire. I mean, they can take it. They're a big company.
Yeah.
They're, whatever. I don't feel bad for them for that. But, they're certainly not the only ones. And
for sure. You just don't see as publicly, when you're and also
you just don't hold people to the
when
fire
you're the first
as
through
much.
the wall too.
Right, exactly. Because I think people have looked at the prices that Goose Island was able to get for some of those specialty stouts, and were like, "Oh yeah, we'll do that too. We're happy to charge our customers that much."
Right. Look at us. We're even better. We're smaller. We're charging $20 less.
Which is what the people who are the primary person who was angry at me was for saying why do you want to expose as bad marking something up?
You know what I find really interesting is that you and I never once made a value judgment about that, except to say that it is probably worth the experience and it's a unique experience, so it's probably worth the money. And yet the most anger I think we got was people being like, why are you saying it's not worth it? It's like, that's in your head. Mm-hmm. That was in your head that you're saying the thing that you're pricing at that isn't worth it. We never said that. The whole exercise was say, here's a reality of this compared to what other beers are. And then you should value, if you value the exclusivity or the uniqueness or the really high quality of this thing more than just a commodity, as you should, then it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who thought we were doing anything other than that, it's just reading. It's their own psyche.
Yes.
That was years ago, though.
So that was that. Other news, little news. So, friend of the show and recent guest, Josh Noel.
Oh yeah,
had some news, right?
Mm-hmm. He left the Trib.
Yes.
And now works in communications for the Borg.
Yeah, well, not the Borg,
the mini
but
Borg.
Basically I don't know, is there another, maybe
Miller
the
Coors.
Romulans?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah. The Borg Light.
Mm-hmm.
Miller Coors, right?
Yeah, Miller Coors. Yep. And you were saying it's, kind of
I'm happy for him as a friend that you need to get, you live a life, you have expenses, and you have a skill set, and you want to under capitalism, you want to maximize your payment for your skill set and your labor and time. But it is kind of sad to me that someone who was so good at the journalistic side of that, covering something that we really cared about in the city we live,
and knowing the history of
and
it,
and just being excellent at it. That's not really going to be. And who knows if they're probably not going to replace him. I would imagine. But
so I talked to him. He called me the day it came out. The news came out. Pardon me. And I said the same thing. I was like, "Hey, it's kind of you were one of the last, man. It's an end of an era." Because there was a guy in Philly called Joe Sixpack, and I think he's also...
That's so Philly.
He's been around he predates Josh by a decade, I think.
Yeah.
And I think he recently moved to France, so I'm guessing he doesn't like have
Cover
the thing
the
anymore.
Philly craft beer scene.
And
you don't see Joe Sixpacks moving to France very much.
right. And
remember Joe the plumber?
no, I don't want to remember him. And
Remember
he said, "Well, they are replacing me
with a dedicated beer writer, or they're."
It's going to be. They said they're going to be a little bit more into, beer, spirits, cider, like local, like food, local drink and beverage and stuff like that. Which I said, you know what, it's probably the right call.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
It's a sign of the time.
Yeah.
That has like that. There was someone who could be dedicated to
Just beer.
Just beer. I didn't even realize that he didn't really do other stuff. I knew he was the beer writer. I assumed he covered other things.
No, it was beer and travel is what he did.
Yeah.
It's a pretty awesome gig.
Yeah, yeah. It's like one of those made up. It's like when you tell a kid on TikTok, like, "Oh, what do you do?" Like, I wrote for a paper magazine, and they let me go around the country, like doing zip line tours and drinking IPAs. Like what the?
It's amazing.
What is any of that?
Right? That's awesome.
Like, you mean like you had an account? You were an influencer? Like, no. I wrote words about it.
Exactly.
Oh, weird. Like, it's like that's just like the job doesn't exist.
Speaking of influencers, a quick sidebar. We're talking about maybe taking like a European trip as a family, maybe like at the end of this year or next year, like a big trip that we're going to try to plan. Because I won a trip. Remember, I won that trip to Hawaii on The Price is Right.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, so I can use it to go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, not a joke for people out there. It is actually true.
Totally forgot
And
about that.
we're looking at like where to go. And I had heard like Greece is super cool. So I'm like, oh, I saw this thing on, I think it was literally like TikTok. And I was like, it's just really cool. It was like a travel writer. Let me just look up like travel Greece on TikTok. I could search for, I think I maybe made it 15 seconds and was like, I can't look at this. It was so many influencers in essentially the same picture, although not the same picture. Just like so many like girls trying to look hot in front of like the Mediterranean, or like dudes like, I don't know, being like just bro-y on the Mediterranean, and just the same pictures over and over again. And I was just like, I'm gonna have a panic attack in my car, in the passenger seat of my minivan, from swiping through trying to find this Greek TikTok travel writer.
That is a very 2023 sentence. In the passenger seat of my electric minivan, scrolling through TikTok, trying to find this Greek travel writer again.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Yikes! I highly recommend you do not try to get travel advice or search for travel advice on TikTok.
Just no advice. Just don't get any advice.
Oh
from
my
TikTok.
God! Well, I was just going to try to find this guide and then like go to his website or his Substack or something, but I couldn't. I couldn't even try to find him because I was like, this is horrible. I'm being assaulted. My eyes are. So yeah, maybe I won't be going there after all. If those people are there, I'm not going.
Sorry, kids, we can't go because I was too overwhelmed by TikTok.
Too overwhelmed by these terrible people on TikTok.
Right.
I don't want to
These
surround you
people
with
were very
people.
clearly going deeply into debt, thinking that it will pay off at some point when they get a sponsorship, and they don't.
And they don't. Or maybe one of them will. Or maybe, no, it's probably they come from a lot of generational wealth, and I want to be a TikTok. I want to be a TikToker, mommy. Like, okay, here, go to Greece now.
I bet they come from...
I'm working.
I bet they come from a generation of wealth. I bet they're not like I think that a lot of those people will take any money that their parents might pass on to them and spend it before they die. Anyway, that's
who knows.
I got a bleak view of TikTok
Jeez.
influencers. I'm the only one I know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there's another thing I want to talk about. We got another one. What?
I don't know.
That's
really
you
funny.
You don't like DJ Khaled?
I honestly I don't know anything other than memes or gifs of DJ Khaled.
He's he's like a living meme in a way.
Yeah, he's the fat guy. Does he even actually produce music?
Oh yeah,
he actually makes the beats and stuff.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, but I think he does. Yeah,
right.
I think he was like a local like DJ that like the different artists would come in and he would have his hip hop show and they come in. It's like, hey, I'm here with DJ Khaled and you're listening to, 101 FM. And then I guess he started making his own beats. I think he did kind of build himself up. He started from the bottom and now he's at the top type thing, or at least that's what his rhymes say.
Did I ever tell you about, how I had internships at Warner Music when I was
What the
in
hell?
college?
This is a beer podcast. What are we talking about?
I had to spend a week
Greek TikTok
going through VIC, who was this rapper in like 2009.
Vic, that's spelled Vic. Is how it's pronounced.
VIC, and he did 1,000 of those. This is VIC, and you're listening to Z100, the Zoo. And I had to go through and label them. I had to listen to all of them and label them, and then figure out what radio station and what market they were for. It took me forever.
Think about that. I might be one of the. I don't know how many people think about it, but whenever I hear that stuff, I think of like, wow, they must have just gone into a studio and just had a list of 100 stations and been like, "You're listening to WMMR, the Zoo."
I got like
DJ Khaled.
1,000 like basically unlabeled files. I had to go through and rename them all what they were for. Yeah, it was wild.
I'm Mike Shalau of Viz Was,
Got college
and
credit
you're
for that.
drinking at the Beer Temple.
Yeah, right.
We should do that.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome. You're drinking at
it just plays on your
Promiscuous.
yes.
Yeah. That would be good.
Anyway, you got another one?
Another one. Yeah. Fat Tire. Have you heard the news?
No.
You haven't?
No.
You haven't heard the news about Fat Tire?
No.
Jesus. Wow. Okay. That's crazy.
It's a great show.
Yeah. Okay, then.
Did they stop making it?
Well, essentially, I mean,
Get out of town.
This is
What are they going to do with
this
that?
actually made it into normal news. So
Now the TikToks I'm watching.
New Belgium. This is from Brewbound, and thanks to them for giving me access to their.
It's called
their
sponsorship,
stuff.
Chris. They sponsored the show by giving you.
No. That's not true. That isn't true. What happened
they gave
was
you $100,000.
I think it's
and access. No, I'm just kidding.
I believe it's is it Justin Kendall? I asked him if I could have their like access to their they cut off the behind the paywall, and if I could like use it, and I said, and if I use one of your things on the show, I'll say I got it from
free.
Brewbound.
Yeah.
So is that a sponsorship?
I think so.
Okay. I guess they no, they don't sponsor the show.
It's an ad. You've been a sellout since day one.
No. I have a login to their to Brewbound is what I have.
It's just squirming over there.
No, I've said it before on the show.
I'm kidding.
So here, this is what it says on Brewbound. New Belgium has completely made over its flagship Fat Tire, the amber ale that launched the brewery and introduced a generation of drinkers to craft beer, from its composition to its packaging. So everything about it. So they changed the actual beer too, not just the, not just like it's not just a makeover. Complete nationwide by mid-February, and it's going to be lighter, and And let me see. So it was down, obviously. Declines in sales and volume. Jeez. Wow. 2022, it was down 20% by volume over 2021. I can't think that 2020 to 2021 it had been up.
Eesh.
I mean, jeez. Oh, my gosh.
That's what happens when you sell out.
Yeah.
They just make 1 million Voodoo Rangers.
Wow.
Voodoo Ranger Fat Tire. When's that? Voodoo Tire.
Yeah. I mean, the new Fat Tire features subtle caramel and floral notes and a much crisper finish.
So they made it cheaper too. So they did.
Yeah. So it's lighter. Although it probably still fits the characteristics of an amber ale.
Probably.
It could also be classified as potentially a golden ale. That's a quote.
Wait, who said that?
So here it is. New Fat Tire features, quote, subtle caramel and floral notes and a much crisper finish, end quote. Still, the beer pours a lighter color than the 1991 version of the recipe, and although it, quote, probably still fits the characteristics of an amber ale, unquote, it could also be classified as, quote, potentially a golden ale, Bradshaw said. So Bradshaw...
That is some maybe halfway measures there they're taking.
Kyle Bradshaw, VP of Marketing. No. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like they should have briefed him a little bit more than him being like, nah, kind of, sort of might be maybe an amber ale if that's what you thought it was, but actually now it's more of a golden ale, probably. Who knows?
So
do you have any in the store right now?
No. I mean, it looks...
So we got to get some right now before it's
all gone.
Before
forever.
It's switched over to this
right.
insipid amber ale they're making. Also, that quotes might be a little misleading, right? Where
So it looks completely different. I'm showing Mike the picture now.
Yeah.
I mean, it. Why keep the name at that point?
It is kind of like equity, I guess.
It is kind of like Smithers, where it's like, it's like, Mike Jones. I wonder if he's related to Mike Shalal. I don't think so, sir. They spell and pronounce their names differently. I mean, it's basically what you're doing with the old Fat Tire and the new Fat Tire. Obviously, it has the same name, but it looks completely different.
This has to be something to do with like sets,
and it tastes
right?
completely different.
It has to have something to do with that Fat Tire is in sets, but not pulling through maybe. And so they want to stay in those sets. So if they keep the price point, the name, and the SKU UPC the same, then they stay in the set so they can keep pushing volume through that. But they just make this ever more homogenized, golden, I don't know.
So since its peak, Fat Tire in 2016, Fat Tire has lost 52% of its volume in chain retail nationally. But total retail volume for all New Belgium beers are up 58% during that same time. So
I wonder how much of that is them
low impact, high quality,
cannibalizing themselves,
carbon neutral. That's me. So the only thing it says on the 6-pack now, so it says Fat Tire Ale.
I think it said that for a long time, though, right? Or did it say amber ale?
No, I'm just saying what it says now, not what it used to say. And then it says high quality, in like the corner, like the little bits where it used to say like triple hops brewed for Miller Lite or something.
Toasty.
Right. It says high quality, low impact, carbon neutral. And then at the very bottom, New Belgium Brewing Company. That's all it says. High quality, low impact, carbon neutral. Fat Tire Ale. What kind of beer is it?
It's an ale.
It's a high quality, low impact, carbon neutral.
Fat Tire Ale.
Fat Tire Ale.
Style ale.
Fat Tire.
It's a carbon
it's
neutral
an ale style beer.
Yeah, I think the TTB was like, yeah, put carbon neutral style ale.
Yeah.
I mean, do we care?
No.
This beer doesn't didn't retain relevance, and partially I think it's their fault, right? All of the energy went into how many different Voodoo Rangers can we have. Did I ever tell about the time? Seeing as this is a show that's very focused. This is probably 6-8 years ago, and I was still on like dating apps. And one of the profiles that would pop up is for the guy from Voodoo Ranger.
Wait, hold on. Start over
again. So you would
again.
swipe, and then they started inserting ads, and then one of the ads was like, it was the Voodoo Ranger skeleton, as if it was a profile you were swiping onto. And so you like click on it, you see like their interests, and like it made me never want to drink it ever again for reasons other than the fact of how it tasted. It was just this creepy, weird thing. I think they thought was very clever, but felt very invasive. Yeah, that was a long time ago, though.
Don't you know? I'm trying to screw here. I'm trying to like I want to add any extra editing for. Yeah.
I don't want to think about this.
Oh boy.
Terrible beer. But yeah, it was so creepy and weird.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had New Belgian beer in a long time, though. Any of them, let alone.
There's the old one. Yeah, that's the latest version of it. Said amber ale. And it was still very minimal. And this is the one that it's still out on the shelves. So, I mean, but it's happening very, very, very fast.
This is something I would be interested in getting, that version of the beer and seeing if it actually is that different or if they've rebranded the packaging and it had already, because the quote there says it's lighter than the 1991 version of it. Mm-hmm. Not that it's lighter than the version immediately previous to this. Like, I imagine that it's been getting lighter over time. They even completely switched the... They brewed on that crazy Merlin system now, too, where it's like 20-second boils.
Right.
And they couldn't make their other beers on it because it stripped too much flavor out of them. They couldn't figure out how to do it for the longest time.
So, wait. So, you're saying that right balanced beer... I mean... Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a pretty significant jump. Usually beer styles don't jump that much. It has happened, but they're also usually not beers. So it doesn't happen that fast. Well, I think like Pseudo Sue became a hazy from Toppling Goliath. Like that one changed a lot, I'd say. But after that, like the ones I'm thinking, like, oh, this is a different beer now. Is like Beer Hates Astronauts from Half Acre is now a hazy.
A lot of those original ones turned hazy.
Yeah, they turned. But that's a once a year, not even maybe beer.
Well, I think they've been walking it away from character probably for a long time.
You're talking about a Fat Tire?
Yeah, Fat Tire.
Away from character?
Like that. If maltiness is a character, I think pushing it further and further towards golden ale, which is a less characterful style, it's probably been slowly happening over time. It's like that thing of like Miller and Budweiser and Coors keep like old versions like cryo frozen so they can test them for IBUs and stuff because those things slowly creep over time because if you do testing, people like want it to be a little smoother and a little less this, and what does that translate to is less actual distinctive character.
Well, before you say that though, don't forget that the style might have been on Porch Drinking that they said, I don't pay, they don't sponsor us in any way.
Free ad for Porch
At its
Drinking.
height in 2016, Fat Tire accounted for over 50% of New Belgium's yearly production volume. So I'm guessing they hadn't lightened it up then, right?
I bet from 91 until then they had lightened it up for sure.
You think?
Oh, yeah. Over the 25 years it took from the time probably to the time it was 51% of their production at 8 million barrels or whatever they make, 3 million barrels. I bet it was...
Kind of always tasted the same to me, but I didn't have it that often, but...
I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm just cynical about anything they
everything?
do. Not everything.
Most things. You're yet to find something you're not cynical about. But you're sure it's out there.
I'm cynical
You're not cynical about that.
Cynical about that, yeah. No, I just think that it's easier to make it cheaper and easier to make it lighter.
Yeah, and it might sell better. Now, it being in sets and stuff like that, that might work.
It didn't sound like it. They said they lost 52% at grocery.
Yeah,
night.
I know, but it still could be worth it to kind of hold on to. I don't know. Maybe it's
It's a flagship. You gotta try it a couple times, right?
yeah. One flagship that's been around for a while and is probably in decline. That I had recently, I've had a few times, is Sam Adams Boston Lager. Beer is great. I'm just going to say.
I haven't had it in a minute.
The beer is really good. Last couple times I've had it, it's been because I was like, well, I'll just have this. And sometimes there'll be like IPAs and stuff on, but it'll be at a chain or a place like that. I think both times I'll be like, I'm going to stick with that. That beer is really good. I mean, that beer is dialed in, and it's, as I remember it, really, really good beer. So if anyone out there sees it, all they have is Sam Adams or something like that, throw them some love. Go get some Sam Adams. That beer is, it's a very well-made, very good lager. So that's my little. They also sponsor us. Yeah. They don't sponsor. I don't think you're allowed to say it. I think it's the opposite. The true is if you can't say someone sponsors you if they don't. That's probably also not right to say.
Send us the check.
True. Yeah, exactly. Pay us to say you're not sponsoring us,
right.
And then we'll stop saying it.
That's how it works now.
If you want us to stop saying it, then pay us. Makes sense to me. Why don't we take a little bit of a break, maybe powder our noses, refill our glasses.
Do cocaine.
That's not what that means.
Cut that out, Surgeon.
No, you can leave it in. No, I
kidding.
don't. That isn't what powder your nose means.
We got to come back real hype.
Yeah, yeah. Woo!
Oh my God, I got so many business ideas, Chris. Let's go.
Goes for 3 hours. Show goes.
It's a real Rogan of an episode.
And but yeah, we'll do that. And then we got some letters we can read. Maybe there's some other stuff that you want to talk about. I don't know. Nice hat, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's my chartreuse, yellow or green Fatheads hat.
it's great. It looks good on you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back in a little bit.
Welcome back to the Beer Temple Podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Shalav, as was brewing. I'm here with the fadiest fade master, Serge, and you're the co-host, Chris Quinn from the Beer Temple. Chris, how's it going?
Good. I just saw Serge caught him in the act of trying to impersonate identity theft, if you will.
Trying to identity theft
There was
me?
somebody at the bar who said who knew from the show, yeah. And he's like, yeah, no. He's like, oh, I like. He was saying, oh, I like you on the show, and he's like, I like Mike too. And Serge was right there. As soon as he said, he says, hi. He's like, I'm Mike, and he puts his hand out to shake his hand. I'm like, what? And the guy didn't buy it, by the way. He's like, you're not Mike. I know Mike.
I have had people recognize me by my voice, and obviously in places like this, not just like at like a Cubs game or something.
Yeah.
But you did get recognized at a Cubs game.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Somebody came up from
I
like
wasn't even thinking about it, but yeah,
behind. I was sitting at a cousin. Someone like came up from like another row.
Yeah.
Like came down and was like, "Hey, man, did something? I forget."
He just like recognized you from the videos. He's like, I watched all your videos early on, and like you got me into craft beer. That was crazy.
I one time was by myself.
And then you were like, "This is Eric," and you were with me and
Yeah.
Eric. And this is Eric, and Mike is like, "I don't really care."
I was by myself waiting for some friends, high school friends too, not industry friends, at Live Oak in Austin. And a guy came up to me, or I was sitting there, I was next to him, like ordering the beer, and he was like, "Wait, you're Chris Quinn, aren't you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, hey, what's up?" And he was like, taken aback. It was kind of funny, and he was like, "Whoa!" It's like you're a legend, this and that. And I was like, "Yeah, okay." I was like, well, "Why couldn't you wait till my high school friends were here?"
To say that you were
Like that would have been amazing. They're going to be here in 10 minutes.
come
No
back.
one's
Come
gonna
back
be
in 10 minutes.
And
That's cool.
the cool thing was he wanted to get a picture taken, but he got into beer. He brewed at Russian River, and had his own thing out on the East Coast, I think in like North Carolina, South Carolina, something like that. I'm sure I could probably look it up based on that. And was like those early tasting videos were like some of the first things I was watching when I was getting into beer.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's really cool, man. That's awesome. That was by far the coolest of like when someone came up to me.
It's very cool that like people that own their own brewery and work at Russian River come and call you a legend. Most of the time what I get is like some, I was at a Binny's recently tasting out some people that work there and like, oh, I love the podcast. First time I met you, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, well, they're like, yeah, I thought you would be bald. Like I had disappointed them that I have hair. Like
nice. You sound like a little like East Coast bald man.
Yeah.
I hope they imagine me, and everyone out there imagines me with how your hair actually looks.
Lush curly hair.
Yeah, a full head of curly dark hair. It'd be awesome. That would be great. The sad thing is, when that guy was looking at those videos, I did have hair. That's how long ago it was.
Kind of.
It's messed up. In the early ones, I had hair.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I was just taking.
I mean, it was going.
It's the only thing I had it. You're a legend, but I've got some nice hair.
It's true. Well, it's not true. I mean, I'm not a legend, but but said it.
You're more of a beer evangelist.
Yes. High priest of beer, I've been called. So we have some letters. How can people contact us, and why should they contact us, Mike?
They should contact us to correct any errors we made in the show, but also if they have any questions about anything we brought up on the show, anything to add, they can send emails to insiders, electronic letters, to insiders@craftbeertemple.com, or they can send their snail mail letters, which will always get read on the show.
I haven't had one in quite a while.
Yeah, the Beer Temple, 3173 North Elston Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60618.
Very well said.
Yeah, if you type it on a typewriter, we'll read it twice.
It's happened once, and we didn't read it twice. We only read it once.
I just made that up now.
We have had
going forward
a typewriter, like on a typewriter.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
So Tom Hanks, if you want to send us a letter, he's notorious typewriter.
This is an e-letter, electronic letter.
Not from Tom Hanks.
Yeah, because that's what email stands for, electronic mail. So what do you send via electronic mail? Electronic letters. Prove me wrong. They're electronic letters. So this electronic letter,
man knows.
Yeah, is from Sam from Erie,
who works in the
Pennsylvania. Nope, not that Sam.
Really? We got nothing to talk about today, Sam. Can you shoot us an email real quick? Hey, when am I working this week?
Right. Is the new schedule out? Yeah. No, that's wrong email, Sam. So Sam writes,
no, I want to work inside.
Insiders, yeah. As a former hype chaser who had made every hot beer release, at some point in the past couple of years, I stopped sweating if I missed one. That is, once you do that, it's
a house of cards.
It is a house of crumbles. Like to me, it was
next step. You're drinking Trumer.
You could kind of be a completist for a little while, and as soon as I realized it was not possible anymore. It was all just like,
oh, totally. There was an era where you could very much feel like you could be some sort of completist. Like you had a book or you had a blog that you really trusted.
At least with what was available.
Number of things, right? Yeah. And then it just came nuts.
Or at least had a beer from all these breweries or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So I stopped sweating it if I missed one. I realized there was always another great beer from another brewery coming out, and I would never get to them all. There you go. Recently, I have found myself also having the opposite sentiment. I'm coming across more bad beer than at any point in my 10 years as a craft beer drinker. Ooh. Oh, I should say the subject of the email, I should have said this, is are we in an epidemic of bad beer? That was the subject of the email. A lot of times, the subject doesn't matter because it's just like letter to the,
right. To the nerds.
Yeah. I found myself having a sentiment, more bad beer than at any point in my 10 years as a craft beer drinker. Wow. I recently had a barrel-aged stout from a local brewery with noticeable sour apple, off flavors. A separate brewery did a stout variant tap takeover that tastes like artificial flavorings dumped in a glass, so aka 5 bottle caps.
Because it was?
That's called a 5 bottle capper. And many New England IPAs I try are a complete mess. It's called lactose. It feels like it is simultaneously the best time ever to be a beer drinker and also the worst. Cheers. Sam from Erie, PA. P.S. I recently made it to the Beer Temple for the first time while in Chicago for a weekend in November. I think I had a full Beer Temple experience. I had Taras Bulba and Spotlight on draft. My girlfriend had a scratch farmhouse. And we even said hello to Nostra Douglas sitting at the end of the bar.
Oh, wow.
They did have the full experience, right? Yeah. A lot of people think like, wow, these, like, how do you, like, pull all these people in? It's like, man, he's probably
Just
like
here,
at the end of the bar.
Yeah. Just sitting down.
Yeah. So what a great electronic letter, Sam.
Yeah,
Thank
wonderful.
you so much.
So are we in? Is it the worst time ever to drink beer, Chris?
Well, I think he nailed it with his last sentence of the main part of the letter, which is, I feel it is simultaneously the best time to be a beer drinker and also the worst. I think I think you're saying that a little bit tongue in cheek, Sam, but I think there's some truth to it. It's like there's so much out there, but like it's getting better. It's getting better in places like Chicago, and maybe that'll trickle down to Erie. I hope it does.
Sure. I don't buy a lot of beer that I don't already know that I'm going to like, so I don't know if I have this experience, but the feeling to me is like being on the other side of some sort of, like being in Iowa or Nebraska, where when you drive through a storm, you can actually like turn around and then like look at it, you can like see it happening somewhere else. And I feel like I'm on like the other side of it, right? Where like I made it through and I know the things that I like and I know the things that I'm probably not going to like. And then I just like feel for everyone who's still in that storm of trying, especially now, because it's like the storm got bigger once I kind of got through it, of trying to figure out what they like or like what breweries they want to buy beers from, because there's just so much happening now. And I think this is a conversation you and I used to have on this show basically every time I was on before I was a co-host, but of it being like there is more good and excellent beer being made now more than ever. There's just so much more beer being made now too. So there's so much more noise and signal. And
also the fact that you can't keep track. Like Sam was kind of saying, he was saying, I think you can't get them all, but I'll go a little bit. I think the heart of it is you can't keep track of it all. So it's like, I feel like you kind of lose some, you just kind of lose some ability to like figure out like what's what. Like when we were getting into craft beer, you could look at something like as basic as the, and as kind of ridiculous as the, Beer Advocate top 100 beers or top 50 beers or whatever it is. It would give you, at least, it's like, okay, there you are. That's a list. That's something for me to go for, and I can look at the styles that are on there, and I can try them, and some of these are going to be at my local shop, and, I'm sure, like, why Stefan Corbinian? What happened?
Sorry, someone was flashing over there. It stopped.
Weird. Freaking me out there.
My bad.
Someone was flashing over there?
No, not someone. The thermostat.
Oh, the thermostat. The backlight came on. Okay. Freaking me out.
I don't know. That's like the
My
carbon
back's
monoxide
to it. You're like
detector.
pointing. You're like pointing over my back, like
to your left.
behind me.
All right. Anyway, you're on a roll. You go to the Rate Beer Top 100, and you could
get an idea of what's out there, or at least be like, I can get 10 of these this month if I wanted to.
Right.
10 of the top 50 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, if you look at the top ones, you're going to have to like probably trade for them because unless you're lucky, unless you live in Vermont or Massachusetts, you're not going to be anywhere near many of the top ones. So like, and the other ones are going to be like extremely limited releases and stuff like that. And they're also going to be all like the same style of beer. They're all going to be like 3 different styles of beer. And now, in our day, it was very IPA and stout heavy. But you had La Fin du Monde on there. Mm-hmm. You had, shoot, man, the number 1 was a Belgian quad. The number 1 beer in the world was West Veteran.
Yeah.
I think Weizenbahn had a couple beers.
That was a different
there.
brand of unobtainium, though, right? That was like the reason it was up.
But
there
I do think like Corbinian or Vitus or something was on there from Weizenbahn. I'm pretty sure that was on there. And there were porters. There was other stuff on there. Right. So you could get around and also be like, hey, these are different styles of beer. This is kind of.
And another thing that's been lost, and this is not necessarily to the email specifically, but is that there used to be on the places people would go to look at ratings, there was some sort of consideration given to style and this specific
definitely on rate beer.
This specific beer's status within that style, and that's important, right? Because like. You want to know what the I don't know how to phrase it, but to think that all beers exist on the same hedonistic scale and that their merits are all the same is so reductive that it takes away from the enriching of the experience, right?
Sure.
And that I have so much better drinking experiences with beers that have less bottle caps than something else. And simply the drinking experience because of how good of a Pilsner that is, or how good of a Saison that is. And I feel that the mechanisms we use now, and this is nothing new, take away from that part of the beer experience, which sucks. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, so we had Stammtisch on from Urban Chestnut, and
awesome beer.
I remember Mike Siegel from Goose Island, I believe it was him, who said that he thought it was the best German Pilsner that he knew of that he'd had in the U.S.
Has he had Goldfinger?
I'm not saying he doesn't like Goldfinger or anything like that.
You heard it here first, guys. Mike Siegel does not like Goldfinger.
Mm-hmm. According to Mike Shalau. And but
he should.
But it's a 3.6 on Untapped. And the fact that I don't know if that's good or bad, but I mean it's a great beer. I mean
it's not great. I mean I run a very small brewery that is definitely not like a hype brewery the way that a lot of breweries are hype breweries. And if I put a beer out that's 3.6, I'm not even going to sell all of that batch. People are going to be like, no. But my beer is much more expensive than Stammtisch, so that has something to do with it.
Sure. I'm just trying to see if what other Pilsners are out there and what they would be
Terrace
rated.
Bulba is probably in that range too.
Yeah, Pivo is 3.5.
3.5? There's some long dates on the shelves probably. That's still a travesty.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to see what these things are, what they're going for. Yeah, I mean, it's just. But so let's talk about the other side of it. The just bad beer. How about So it sounds like there's acetaldehyde or in that green apple. I think he said sour apple, but
so he said sour green apple.
Yeah.
So it could be a couple things.
Right.
That one.
And hazies that are a mess and stuff like that. I mean, that surprises me a little bit more. But then, I mean, when's the last time, do you really have beers? I have found that I'm going in 2 places at the same time. Do you get a lot of beers that are just messed up?
Well, no, but I stay in my lane most of the part. I'm not like, and I'm not buying beers that are in styles that people are making because they're popular or making because they think they can make money for it. I've had a lot of. I will say I've had very few of what we would call technically flawed beers. In the last few years, I've had a lot of beers that I don't particularly care for the vision or their focus, and I think that's part of this too. Is that there is a proliferation of beers that have no particular point. There's no reason for them to be made other than that we have a brewery and we have tank space and we need to sell beer, and so you just get. What if we also put marshmallow in it? Kind of vibes. And I don't get me wrong. I was the ringleader of some of that stuff when I was still working at Pipeworks. Of like, we need to make another fish beer. What's Cap Fruit got for us this week? I don't know. It just felt different then too. Where it's,
yes,
we weren't trying to. We made a cereal beer. We weren't trying to like recreate the nostalgia of eating Lucky Charms. It was like, how do we add raspberry to this in an interesting way? But that also wasn't every beer.
I think some of those beers, I think the styles are gross to some people. Me being one of them. Yeah. Like some of those pastry stouts, I think are gross, and other people love them. I remember we did a blind barrel aged beer like video for social media. But instead of the one we're trying to guess, it was we had 4 or 5 of them out there, and everyone tried all of them, and then we just basically hit record and then had them choose which of them they liked the most. And the only one that wasn't anybody's first or second choice was...
it's like a pastry.
It wasn't. They were all unadjuncted except for lactose. Like one of them had lactose in it. And that was the one that we didn't like. It was also the one that was probably the hypest from a sales standpoint. And we, where you might have thought, oh man, yeah, when it's blind, those ones really don't hold up. But Max Peltier, the buyer here, before I even said that, he was like, so many of our customers would have picked that one blind as their favorites. They just like that flavor more.
Sure. So
I think there is an element of that too. Like what's gross to one may be, or as Sam put it. I'm not on that one anymore. He says, "What is an artificial flavoring dumped into a glass to one might be a wonderfully flavorful, nuanced stout to another, I suppose."
Sure, but there is something in that where that is as objectively as you can be, not nuanced, right? Like that is not that is definitionally almost not nuanced. But as beer became more mainstream, it's like things that taste like familiar things that are marketed really well became a no-brainer as soon as we stepped 1 foot into the it's a cocktail, or it's actually cereal, like it's like of course the logical extension is going to be, well, let's just actually put the flavoring in there at some point. Is there really any artisan value in extracting the cereal milk flavor from the cereal itself? Not really.
Sure.
And beer has become so much more beer than how we started, right? And so it's so much more to so many people that a lot of people like that, and a lot of people aren't going to get into it the same way we are. Now, are those beers to us bad? Probably. Are they objectively bad? I don't know, not necessarily. the category of beer is brought in so much that it allows for this like idea of, is it the best and worst time to try to find beer that you like? And probably. The category of beer means less now than it ever has. It means less. It's less predictive of what you're going to drink.
Mm-hmm. I do think it's overall I like the market may be down, but I think the quality and variety is on its way up. So I hope that's at least true in Chicago. I hope that starts spreading out to other places.
Yeah.
I think it is.
And even those beers, for the most part, even the ones that I don't particularly care for, I think they're well made. They're just not
sometimes
for me.
Yeah, or just a little just like lacking in anything interesting. I mean, the person, again, to ask about this is Max Peltier and Stephen Freshnot, because they're the ones who are just drinking the drop-off samples just week after week after week after week and just seeing what's out there. And some of the stuff is, like, just not very good. I don't know if it's, like, crazy flawed that often. Sometimes I think they are, but
right, like that acetaldehyde sour thing. That's
let's get to another letter. I think we have time for potentially two more. It's about the Trillium. Remember, we asked people like, hey, like, what are your thoughts on Trillium coming into Chicago? So we have one from a guy, Dave. There's two about this Trillium, so I thought we could maybe finish up with this. So he goes, hi, Mike and Chris.
Hi, Dave.
Yeah. Here is my 2 cents in regards to Trillium coming to the Chicago market. I was very excited to see that they would be coming to the market, with the enormous caveat that this excitement is almost entirely based on beer drinking nostalgia and good memories. And as Mike put it, vacation palate. Trillium was, and still is, the only of the New England forefathers that I had a chance to visit. And when I visited back then, he made sure to check out their Fort Point location, and they had an amazing time. Got the first taste of New England haze ever. And then they made this Boston trip an annual thing, and they always made a stop at Trillium. So there's definitely this, like, okay, that's awesome. So I get that. All that being said, I don't consider myself a hype beer drinker. And as you mentioned on the episode, Trillium may be now in the second tier at this point. But I will buy a single can of this beer if and when the beer makes a drop every time. That's what he said. And he says I will buy single cans, all caps, single cans. The flash drops of other half equally well works at this point don't do much for me. But I will seek out the Trillium every time, and I fully admit that it's nostalgia-driven. I cannot see myself ever paying upwards of $40 for a 4-pack, so even if it's if it's either 4-pack or no Trillium, I would almost certainly pass. At $8 per single can, for 3 to 4 cans, I convinced myself that it's a special occasion beer and pony up. So he goes on and talks a little bit more. So that's interesting. Dave says that he is going to do it. I will say, you and I had some of these beers after one of the shows one time when it came in. As far as the haze goes, I think we all admitted that it was top tier haze, like truly top tier, really good. I think we liked it more than anything else that we put it against at the time.
Probably.
Yeah, you don't remember. Maybe you weren't there.
I think I was. I just don't think I particularly discerned.
Yeah. Okay. That. I think we're all. People seem to be agreeing, but maybe not. We got another guy. Mike Rosinia from Chicago, now in Nevada, he says. Trillium hard pass is the subject, so I'll let you know where this one's going to go. Hi, Insiders. I was a regular at the Beer Temple from 2014 until July 2022
I remember, Mike.
when I moved to Nevada. I still have some fresh drafts to get, some free drafts to cash in, but that's for another day. I just listened to the podcast on Trillium Pricing in Chicago market, and it's truly laughable. They haven't been a brewery almost anyone has seeked out in quite some time. In that area of the country, there are countless breweries making better beers at a better price. Wow, tough language. In the Chicago market, we maybe buy them once, then look at the stacks of 4-packs of Hop Butcher in the cooler that's fresher and nearly half the price and go that route. Or maybe just say screw it and get a 12-pack of Maplewood Juice Pants. I think that's where we were kind of saying like what we thought it was going to go. I've also had Trillium IPAs with off flavors, and that's left a bad taste in my mouth, literally and figuratively. The draft prices were even crazier. Imagine getting off work and seeing a $20 12-ounce pour of pale ale. I mean, exactly. If I owned a beer bar, I would be embarrassed to have that on when so many other local breweries would love that line. I'll be back in Chicago hopefully next month and hopefully to see friends and family and make my stop at the Beer Temple to see Steven. Cheers and love the show. Mike from Chicago, now in Nevada. Oh my gosh, there's a very important part that I skipped on the last one, by the way. Dave, he says, hope this is helpful. Thank you for everything you guys do for the show. I enjoy it tremendously. Have a great New Year, Serge. I know you will seamlessly fade from 2022 into 2023.
Wow.
So that had to be right,
How could
right?
you cut that
I
out?
know, I forgot.
Serge, would you like to say anything to that?
Oh, no. He mimed something.
Politely declined.
Yeah, he politely declined. I mean, I think both different. First of all, Dave and Michael, thank you guys so much for spending the time to do that. And it's great to get two very valid answers. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Michael's the right answer. No, I'm joking. No, I'm kidding. Hey, when I drank it, I wanted to be like, man, this stuff's all hype. But I thought it was. No, I don't drink it.
It was fresh for sure when we drank it.
Fresh, and I thought it was really good. And I know Sam here is the Sam who is here is
the one who works inside.
He does like. He was a big Other Half fan back in the day. He thought it was spectacularly good, and also wasn't really, would have been very happy to say it was garbage, but
yeah, I think it's
it was
something
good stuff.
I'm not particularly tuned into. I think.
Yeah, but at that price, not for me. Now, nostalgia. The first hazy I ever had, and there with family, and making an annual trip, and making it part of our trip. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And I believe in all those things, making things taste better, like actually making them taste better to you.
Right.
Like it might not make the liquid that physically different, but that's not what taste is. Taste is your experience with something like that.
I mean, when I'm drinking a Fatheads while looking at the bobblehead Fathead life-size cutout, not the life size of a bobblehead, a bobblehead the size of a real person.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at that while drinking one, obviously it's going to taste better. Because I'm going to think about, wow, Mike was there, and he could have brought me back anything, and he brought me back this cutout. Cool, man.
I brought you back beer, too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We drank it that night, though.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. I mean, I think those kind of memories make it. And, hey, you're going to buy a single. So even then, that dude with a big
emotional
attachment was going to buy single cans every time, though.
Right.
Single can. But that beer is that meant to be drank one single can every couple months?
Meant to be. It depends on what that is. It's meant for them to sell it at the highest price they can keep pulling through at. That's for them. Situationally, the way the beer tastes, also kind of yes.
You think? Why? Why that part?
Those aren't beers for like having multiple beers of. Like those are beers for having a sample of or a can of with your buddies. Like they're not meant to be things that you're going to sit down and tuck into the entire 4-pack while you watch a football game or something. Maybe they are New England, but that's not how I view those beers, and they're definitely not priced for that.
They're not priced for it. I would say 4-point pale ale at like 6% or something like that. Like, come on. Like, if you can't.
But by almost any metric, is that beer a drinkable beer?
I don't know.
I think that's you saying no.
I don't know. By any metric, like that's a pretty wide.
Like it maybe in comparison to a higher ABV, thicker, sweeter.
How many
hazy,
C's when you say that?
2 for those.
Okay. No, in that case.
Not super thick, but like I don't think that the intention of that brand of that ilk of hazy IPA has ever been how many of these can we get people, like how crushable can we make them? I think it's how impactful can we make them?
Sure. Right.
I think there are versions of hazy beers like that are incredibly crushable.
Son of Juice is pretty crushable.
The Hill Farmstead Pale Ales are some of the most crushable beers I've ever had. Even Treehouse stuff I find to be like the less crazy stuff I find to be more drinkable than what we were drinking, or more repeated. More repeated.
We did another blind tasting of The Alchemist versus Julius, not King Julius.
Okay, so trash.
Well, I mean, some people liked The Alchemist more. Some people liked the Julius more.
Yeah.
I obviously like the Julius more.
Of course, you're a man of honor.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously I picked it.
Yeah.
The King Julius one. So, I don't know where I was going with it other than to just say that. Oh, so some people like that one more. I mean, are they? I think they have to be. I mean, they sell them in 4-packs.
I mean,
at the breweries. To go.
Sure, but
can't buy a single of that stuff to go. You buy them in 4-packs.
You can buy singles of that stuff from probably
from the tap rooms to go.
You buy like 7 cans of things from Treehouse sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you had to buy them in 4-packs.
Maybe, I don't know. I've never been.
I mean, you might be able to.
The pricing here is certainly not a 4-pack pricing.
No,
it's like $36 for a 4-pack of something is not. Is not 4-pack pricing. I mean, that is the price of a 4-pack, but that is not 4-pack pricing.
Okay, I mean maybe they're trying to go in that go for the wine, get you to think of it more like wine. You're gonna pop a $20 bottle of wine.
Do we need to bring back the this is the cost of goods sold on this? Do you think it's worth the extra price? It was Bourbon County Stout and then Trillium Galaxy whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I don't even know if I could do it anymore. I don't know how much those things cost.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to just basically. It wouldn't be as fun because it would just be like we have Jude LaRose on, and he would be like, "Okay, this is how much it would probably cost Trillium to do this sort of thing."
Right.
I'm like, "Okay,"
and then factor in 2 levels of distribution.
Yes.
That's not fun.
No, it's not as fun as finding like a box maker who knows how to make those weird little boxes and be having the special glass and all the crazy boxes and stuff that they made and the special labels and sourcing those barrels, which I seem to remember you knowing exactly how much they cost because you owned the exact same barrels.
I bought them,
Yeah, you bought them. So, anyway.
But you guys brought in the Trillium. You sold out of the Trillium.
Did.
And you'll bring it back in next time it comes.
Yeah, a little. Mm-hmm.
So successful for them, I imagine.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. That was a yawn, which probably should indicate that maybe I'm getting a little tired here.
Yeah.
But I think we're about at the end. Is there anything else that we've missed upon?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, we nailed everything.
As we always do.
Always do.
Seamless. Professionals.
So we got to get our beer quiz show up and running. We got to talk about that.
The blind tasting one?
Yeah, or yeah, like I think it was going to be like trivia, right? Or wasn't it going to be like we've talked a bunch. There's a blind tasting round that was going to be like Final Jeopardy. There's going to be one where you do know we've sat and talked about it. How Fresh is going to be like the Alex Trebek character, and he's going to take us through, and we'll have to try to guess what these beers are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we have to figure that one out. There's a lot of pre-production involved in that one, which is not the specialty of this show.
No,
but I think we can make it happen.
Not. Yeah.
Anyway, good to have Serge back. Good to have you here as always.
Serge. Good to be here.
Yeah, man. And I guess we'll be back next week then, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll talk then. So long.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again, 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 again.